Ladies and gentlemen, it's November 4th. I hope you're doing what you need to be doing because it's that time of year. Whatever your business plan says for 2020, remember my saying, you got to have 2020 for 2020 if you want to make more money. All right, so let's hope that everybody is doing what they need to be doing. If you're in my coaching, make sure you've got your business plan sent in and your year-end numbers. And I know they're going to be estimated, but I still want them in. Okay, and so let's get rocking. So let's get right into this. Ladies and gentlemen, I've asked somebody from the lovely state of Arizona, which is it's actually 9 o'clock there today, not 8 o'clock like Nevada and California, which is always wonderful for my schedule, by the way. But let's hop into it. Alex Morgan from the Northwest office. I think you guys are going to love this. And Alex is still relatively new to the business. So, Alex, tell us a little about yourself and how long you've been in the business and all that good stuff.
All right. I've been in the business for about 3 years, but I'm partners with my mom, who has been a realtor for 9 years. But she's been with Berkshire, which was Prudential before that, for about 6 years. So I'm in a real estate family. I was going to bring your daughter to work day with my appraiser dad. So I've seen all different sides of the business, and it just seemed right to kind of jump into it.
Yeah, that's right. Your father is an appraiser. He's been doing that for a long time, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah, he has for over 30 years.
All right. And also, like a lot of the younger people, like you went to college, you graduated, you were a sports star playing softball in college too, weren't you?
Yeah, I played softball at U of A, and that really helped with my time management and things like that. So your coaching and the mixture of college softball has really helped me figure out a schedule that works. And I was a sports marketing major. I thought I wanted to be a softball coach, and then I realized I didn't want to do that. I wanted something a little more fulfilling, and I really like helping people start the next chapter of their lives. So real estate's the best fit.
What a great way to put it. Next chapter of their lives too. Yeah, you know what? As a coach, I've always figured out that people in sports and people that are in the military, I mean, people that are used to a disciplined schedule usually fit into the business a little easier because you're used to following a pretty tight schedule. Like in sports, you do certain things or you don't get certain results, right?
Oh, yeah. My day was planned from 5 in the morning to about 7 at night every single day.
Yeah. That's amazing. Yep. And also, I love seeing your posts of your throwback photographs too. So throw a few out there as well. I love that. Good stuff. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So tell them a little about your experience. I mean, like the last 3 years, how's it gone for you?
Well, before I even started real estate, I was really hesitant to join my mom because I didn't want to just jump into her business and kind of reap off of her success. I really wanted to start something on my own, but eventually I just kind of got over that thought process and I joined her, and I realized that we're two very different personalities and
yes.
very different realtors. So we bring different things to the table. And my first 2 years, it was really rocky, and I kind of ran like a chicken with my head cut off and didn't know what I was doing. And I just kept planning things to do instead of actually executing. And then about a year ago, I think like a year ago this month, I joined your coaching, and I really got a better plan and a better idea of how to be successful. And I've incorporated technology, open houses, and reaching out to my sphere in different and unique ways. And this year we're tripling our business, and then next year we plan on doubling our business from this year.
That's so great. Yeah. And, that's a good lesson for a lot of people. Like I was just on the phone with Eric Sine and, in one of my groups, and Tim Dunn. And like even Eric said, I didn't have a closing my first 7 months, but then he had, 18 in the last 5 months of his first year. So a lot of us think, real estate is starting a business. And a lot of people don't realize that. You got to lay the foundation. And fortunately for you, you kept going. Because I remember, I love when it happens like to someone like yourself, like, when's it going to happen? What's going on? What am I doing wrong? And I just, keep doing it, keep showing up. And then all of a sudden things, you know what, before we get into how it's going well now, tell them a little about your struggles at first. You said it took a little while to get going. Tell us a little about that.
I think one of the biggest things is I kept asking different people like what worked for them and how they became successful, and everybody has a different thing that really helped them. So every time someone said something, I just dropped whatever I was doing and I tried to jump into something that made them successful. And once I started working more with you and bouncing my ideas off of you and things like that, I started to get my own identity as a realtor and realizing what I bring to the table instead of trying to be like other realtors, because I do things that other people don't do, just like other people do things that I would never do.
Yeah, so it took you a while to figure out what kind of personality you wanted to have, which always is better to have your own than to try to emulate, right? Yeah, that's a very important point for people to hear too, that, and I always tell them, even though I tell Mark all the time, we have the best real estate company on the planet, but even with our company, you got to be careful who you talk to, because you look at the person you're talking to. If you're asking somebody a question, and then ask yourself, do I want to be doing my business, the amount of business they are, the way they're doing it? And if the answer is no, you probably shouldn't be asking them the question, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think like personality types too. You talk about the different personality types in your coaching, and there's not really a lot like me in my office, I would say.
Right.
I just have a different type of personality. It's not like a good or bad thing. It's just different, and I couldn't be like other people. I had to find my own path. Right.
And since you've been doing that, it's been really working out. So it took a little while to get gelling, but now, like you just said, you guys are going to triple your business. So give them an idea. So now you have a program, you have a plan. Like you said, you've been in my coaching for over a year now. You have a good group too, which is, it's really good when you're in a good group like that. Tell them a little bit about what made the switch and how it's working for you now and what you're doing.
One of my biggest things was I just started putting myself out there a little more. I was doing open houses all the time, but I wasn't really getting traction on my open houses. So I was getting frustrated because I felt like they were wasting my time. And then I decided that when I was going to do my open houses, I was going to do a live Facebook video and talk about the house and say like things that I thought were awesome, or things that I never spoke badly about open houses, because that is somebody's house. But I talked about things that I found interesting about the property. And I actually got, I think, 3 leads last year just from my first 4 live videos, because they saw how I was through the house, and my mom and I, how our dynamic is, because we're also a little with how to talk to each other. We were instead of in a house, really putting ourselves out there and showing what it's like to go through a house with the 2 of us.
Okay, I love that. I love it too. And then you so you got really 3 solid leads from just starting to do videos, especially with your age group too, because you're in the millennial category, and I think that's an important part of the equation. With getting business in today's market, right?
Yes. Millennials are buying like crazy right now.
All right, cool. Tell them a little about your what you do. Like you have a whole bunch of stuff you do on social media. Tell them a little about that.
So, the first thing I did was I started my Instagram, and mine's Alex the Homegirl. Like, I wanted it to be something that's obviously real estate related, but not just like Alex sells AZ or anything like that. I wanted it to be a little unique and kind of funny. And so I did that, and then I also developed my own hashtag, which is Red Keeping It Real Estate, because I'm a redhead and I like alliterations. So I did that, and once I started posting and using that hashtag, I noticed that people that I wouldn't see for a while, I'd meet up with them somewhere, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, Red, you keeping it real estate still?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." And they'd start quoting some of my hashtags back to me and my different posts. And even though I didn't feel like people were watching me, then people would bring it up and they would say my brand. And when people start saying your brand back to you, that's when it's really cool, because you're like, okay, it's working. You just have to keep doing it. And along with that, I know at the convention last year, I believe it was Katie Lance came, the Facebook lady. Yeah. And one of her suggestions was do one live video a week on Facebook, just so your sphere can see you, because, that's all friends and family, things like that. I was already doing the open house one, but I wanted to do something that's even better. So on Tuesdays at around 8 o'clock at night, because that's when people are home and done with dinner, I do a Real Tip Tuesday. And I just talk about real estate. I talk about motivation. I talk about sports and recruiting. I get a lot more people on my ones that are related to softball, because that's a lot of my sphere. But I do work real estate into the talk so that they know I am a realtor. I love helping people sell their home. And I did a series too. That was a 4-part series about the listing process. And it's just from my Real Tip Tuesday this year, we have gotten 6 leads that we close. And that's just completely free marketing that I just go and do a 10-minute video every Tuesday.
Yep. And that's on Facebook? You do that one?
Yes.
All right.
And
so,
I actually started that in March.
Of this year?
Yes.
Okay, good. So before we get through all social media now, let's go back to Instagram just for a second. Give them, this is what I do every week on Instagram, just so they understand.
So I do 3 to 4 posts every week on Instagram that are just, I really try to focus on lifestyle, because you're not just selling people a home, you're trying to sell them what their life is going to be like once they get in the home. So I try to go to bars that have opened recently, and different restaurants and things to do. Like we have Topgolf, and we do laser tag and stuff, like just what it's like to live in Phoenix right now and the different activities going on. Because if there's things that people don't know about and you introduce it to them, then they start trusting you with even more things. And that's the biggest thing, is you want to develop that authenticity and that trust, because when they go to do the biggest transaction of their life, arguably, they're going to go with somebody that they trust, and they've already tried some of the things that they've suggested. Right.
Great. So 3 to 4 a week, Instagram, and then you're very specific about living in the area that you live. I love it. And you've gotten tremendous amount of leads from doing that too. Anything else you want to mention about Instagram before we move over to Facebook?
The biggest thing I would say is just don't overplan it. Just start doing it, because if you wait for your picture to be and trust, like I said, I work with my mother, and I hear oh, well, you're young, you know how to do all the social media and everything, and I've finally gotten my mom to buy into it. You got older people can do it, and you can do it well, because you have a completely different type of client than I have, and they're on social media too and looking for different things. Like my mom's big DIY stuff, so she brings a whole different demographic into it. So now that, again, doubles our business, because we're reaching 2 different demographics.
Yeah, it's funny you say that, because I'm in the same basic age group as your mother, and I used to say that too. It's not me, and then now it is me. And like I just did a video before I started my coaching calls this morning, right here in my hotel room in California. I do this. I do a lot of the same things that you're talking about too, and it took me a long time to get into the swing of it. I've only been doing social media for 4 years now total.
Mhm.
All right, cool. So there we go. That's Instagram. Okay, how about Facebook, please? What's your program for Facebook?
So for Facebook, I do the 2 live videos every week. I have to do those because that's me showing up and talking to my people. And usually if you do a live video, you can see who's watching it, or people will comment on it or like it. And that's basically them raising their hand saying, I might be interested in the information about selling your home or buying a home. So I put them on my leads list now, because nobody's going to watch my video if they don't care about what I'm talking about. If I'm talking about something real estate related and they pop up, I know that they're interested in that information and it could be pertinent to them in the future. So that's one of my favorite things to do, because people just raise their hands. And then also throw in some personal stuff. I got married in the last year. I posted a lot about the wedding, planning for it, what we did after the honeymoon. And I used some of our pictures for real estate stuff. My husband and I like to high five. So I took one of the pictures and I was like, when the inspection is clean, high five.
Yeah. You guys have some interesting, and you also do dog videos and posts and things too, which is cool.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because that's even another demographic, just people that love dogs. If you have cats, then there's people that love cats, and they want to work with people who like similar things that they like.
So true, and that's why showing them the personal side, I know I've seen you do interviews and things like you were mentioning earlier. I just think that's such an incredible way to do business as well, because when people get a taste, a look inside, that's why reality shows are so big today, because when people get a taste of that and they see you're a human being, and and it's one of the reasons why I do professional videos, like in the green room. I do live ones. I don't even look at my live ones other than just to make sure it's the right time and it did record, because I dissect myself just like everybody else does. So I think it's important that you do that.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. I just post my video and then I'm not going to look at it again, because if I keep looking at them, then I'm going to stop posting videos, because, does my face look like that when I say that word? Or no, I don't want to do that. You're your own worst critic. So just post it and get it over with. People are going to love you.
Right. Yeah, we all have our perception of how we're perceived by the world, because we're not looking back at ourselves when we're talking. And as soon as we see the mirror, we're like, whoa, and it doesn't match up a lot of times with what we have in our head about how we're presenting. But I think the more raw, the more you look, because people wake up in the morning, they look like that. You look like that in the morning. They look like that in the morning. So it's okay to be, and it's actually recommended, right?
Yeah, and I mean, one of my best videos that I got the most compliments of was when I was actually pretty fired up talking about walk-ons, because I was a walk-on and someone was saying that they're not a good idea and you're not really wanted at the school if you're a walk-on and whatever. And I just kind of said that's not true, and I said my perspective of that type of situation, and I got a ridiculous amount of comments and people messaging me and saying how they appreciated my opinion on it. And then I had random softball people just hopping into my friends list because now I'm a softball voice.
Right. So great. And people, explain to people real quick what a walk-on is so they understand that.
Oh, sorry. So you have, when you go into athletics, you have scholarship athletes that usually have full ride scholarships, and then you have walk-ons. I was an invited walk-on, meaning I had to take out loans and everything and pay for my own school. But I knew I wanted to go to U of A, and that was going to be the best fit for me. So I walked on, and I did pretty well.
Yeah, you did very well based on your, what I've seen, and especially your mother and what she has represented too. So it's great stuff. And you made the team, and you played well, and you did all of that stuff too. So I love the walk-on story myself. Some of the best players in National Football League or baseball are walk-ons.
Yeah. Yep.
Because you got to work harder to be a walk-on. That's why a lot of them make it, because you got to work harder.
Yeah, and that's something that I talk about a lot too is passion, being able to work hard, overcoming adversities, which that helped me in real estate a lot too, because I had a lot of people telling me I shouldn't be a realtor anymore because it's too hard and you have to, like, if you don't do enough work, then how are you going to pay your bills and all this stuff? And I'm like, well, the good thing about it is I control it with my daily activities. So
Yep.
I know I'm going to do my work.
Yeah, and that's the thing. As long as you know you're going to do the work, you'll get the results. Like the point I bring up in Success Series, Deepak Chopra, the process guarantees the outcome if you stick with the process, even on the tough days.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have a few minutes left. I just want to wrap this up, and all those tips were awesome. So 3 years ago, if you knew what you knew now, so you know the question I always ask, what would be the three things, the person starting out or the person trying to go to the next level, what would be in the last 3 years, the three most important things you tell them to focus on?
I would tell them to focus on being really authentic and creating content that's going to help people make the next move easier. Because like with videos and stuff, and doing that kind of content is different for each person. Some people just go and talk to people, which is fine, but I put my content out through videos and other social media things. So just try to help people and get your voice out there. And my next thing that I would say along with that is stop planning and just start doing. My biggest thing
that was a big one for you.
Yes, I was planning everything and I was over planning, and then the problem with over planning is it prevents true authenticity, and now you're just an act, and you don't want to be an act. They want to work with the actual person that cares about what's best for them and things like that. Like the realtor who's not going to consider them just a number or just another closing for the year. So stop over planning, just do it, and be your true self while you're doing it.
I love that. Stop over planning. It prohibits you from being super authentic. That's such a great point. That's going to be a Saturday email. That's a Saturday email. All right, cool. That's too awesome. So watch. Here's what I heard you say. Use social media, be yourself. And then number two, be super authentic and stop over planning, because as I like to say, over planning is an excuse not to take action. And I love the way you took it. Over planning prohibits you from being super authentic. Two incredible points. What about a third one?
My third one is don't sweat the clients you lose. If you keep your pipeline full, do your daily activities, then you don't freak out when a buyer burns you or it turns out they can't buy for a couple of years now or a couple of months even. Like, just keep talking to people and putting yourself out there. There's going to be some that don't like you, and who cares? You didn't want to work with those ones anyway. So go talk to people that are good, genuine people that are your ideal client, and just keep spreading the word that you're a realtor. And if you put it out there, it's like you say, if you put it out there that you want business, you will get business.
No doubt. Absolutely, too. Yeah. I love that, too. What you said in the first part of that sentence, too, was if you have a pipeline. See, if you have a pipeline, then you don't have to sweat every single customer or client that you could potentially work in with. But everything you just mentioned on this call before that allows you to have a pipeline. And as you know, from my coaching, I tell people a pipeline actually makes you more honest and ethical. Because if you only have two people you're working with, you almost do anything. But if they're not doing the right stuff, you're afraid to tell them, because if you do tell them, you won't have a client. You got to be, so to bring this full circle, you got to have a system to create new people into your pipeline every day, whether it's heavy social media based like yours, whether it's over the phone, whether it's door knocking, whether it's a fine mix, but you got to be responsible for filling your pipeline with eventual clients. Is that what you're basically saying?
Yes. You're responsible for your own success.
Yeah, I love it. And I love what you said too, the confidence factor, which is, and you can hear the humility in your voice, but you can also hear the confidence, which is, I know I'm going to work, so I know I'm going to get the results. I love that. Great job.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add here, Alex? All been great stuff.
Nope, I don't really have anything else.
Okay. Well, just so they know, okay, because I didn't press you for this, but what is your goal, you and your mother, in transactions for next year?
Oh, okay. We want 25 transactions next year, and that'll be $250,000 for the two of us.
Right, with your average sale price, right? I just wanted them to hear so they get a measuring stick on what your goal is for next year. And that's a tremendous goal. You guys are dynamite. Your mother's awesome. I'm sure she's going to listen to this. She's your biggest fan, even though you guys are very different, which I think makes you work well together too, though. So, hey,
yeah, we're opposites.
Yeah, opposites attract. All right. Which is amazing too, because you're mother and daughter. But every time I sit with you guys, it is awesome to watch you guys, because you can feel that, you guys are committed to each other and you get it done. And at the same time, you're very different, which it would be boring if you were exactly the same. Let's face it. You ever meet a couple and they're exactly the same? No, they're not. Very, very rare that happens. All right. Well, Alex, thank you very much for taking 30 minutes out of your day today. We really appreciate it. Love having you in my coaching. You're the best. All right. And everybody on the call, we will do this again in a week. Thank you, Alex. Thanks for your time.